Hello, I'm BrigantiaBlackbird of BlackbirdsBrew. Happy Friday and welcome to Storyteller's Corner. This month we're taking a close look at the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we will begin with a lesson in balance. For those of you who are somehow unaware, Avatar: The Last Airbender was a children's show that ran from 2005 to 2008, and it remains beloved to this day. The fan base is still rabid. It is completely suitable for young children, but the quality of the storytelling and the themes that it touches upon also makes it enjoyable for adults. So if you sit down and watch this with the kids, I don't think you'll be pulling out your hair and screaming headed for the hills. The core theme of this show is the concept of balance. It's shown from the structure of the way that world was built, the function and journey of each of the characters, and the events that led to unbalance and their consequences. As our own world continues to go insane, which is a remarkably unpleasant and unbalanced state of affairs, the story of the show resonates with me much more strongly, which is why I think it's worth talking about and also why it would be worth you checking out and watching it if you never have before. So, the next few weeks, we will be focusing on why I think that Avatar: The Last Airbender is worthy of being included in the canon of modern-day fairy tales and why it should continue to be told and handed down. So let's begin, as the show does, with a map of the Avatar world. There are 4 nations: the Air Nomads, who had temples scattered across the world; the Water Tribe, which had northern and southern tribes at the respective poles; the Earth Kingdom, comprising the largest continent; and the Fire Nation, with many islands and volcanoes. The nations are not merely named after the 4 elements, but it also describes an innate talent. There are some people within each of these groups who can actually wield this element. This has led to the development of cultural martial arts as well as some healing modalities. Beyond that, each element describes the cultural character of each group of people. The air nomads were deeply spiritual rather, and philosophical people. Their first impulses are more intellectual, imaginative, and intuitive rather than being hands-on and physical. The physical world is actually something they seek to detach themselves from, as they view this as a means of achieving freedom. The Water Tribe is more defined by emotional bonds between spouses, within the family, amongst the community itself, and to a certain degree within the larger world. There's a sense of deep commitment and striving to live up to that commitment, and it's just taken for granted that that's what you do. That is what their culture is about. They also prize flexibility of approach, sincerity, and again, cultivating those strong, deep emotional bonds. The Earth Kingdom is resolute. It values strength and practicality. It's about an uncompromising sense of self and being firm when taking action. The Earth Kingdom is comprised of builders. If you look at some of the architecture in the show, it's almost on a megalithic kind of scale. It is there, and there's no missing it. And the Fire Nation is dynamic, innovative, and always pushing on to the next goal. Their inspiration quickly translates into action and then follows through to completion. It's all about invention and getting things done. As you can see, when I say that there's a strong correlation between the culture of a particular nation in this world and the personality and energy of the element itself, you can see exactly what I mean. So altogether, from the audience perspective, it's easy for us to see how these 4 nations were intended to be in balance with one another, to be interdependent, cooperative. There was a natural equilibrium to be found, which is really at the heart of the show, about recapturing that equilibrium. The principle is also seen in Team Avatar. While Aang is technically the main character, it's really the ensemble of the whole team who gather together around him that really make a composite main character, almost as if they're all just parts of this whole. Each individual provided something unique that contributed to greater balance within the group. And so not only are they a balance of the elements, which they eventually were, but they also represent the balance between masculine and feminine energies. Aang is the Avatar, And that means that he is the one person on Earth who can wield all four elements, and his job is to restore balance in the world by using these talents. But Aang is also the last living airbender. So, in many ways, he is an airbender first and foremost because he is the sole representation of his culture and their philosophy. So, he has this very heavy weight of making sure that continues on because he understands that without that influence, the world is still going to remain unbalanced. Then we have Katara, who is a waterbender and the de facto mother figure of the group. She is the glue that holds everyone together. And for much of the series, we see her essentially raising Aang, Toph, and her older brother Sokka, in addition of going through her own journey of growing up. She is a warrior and a healer in equal measure. Toph is the earthbender and the one person in the group who really sets very firm boundaries with Aang. She does not put up with his nonsense, and she actually makes him engage when he would rather evade a conflict. She is uncompromising, and she has enough common sense and willpower to run an entire country. She is a fearsome thing to behold. Then we have Zuko, who is a firebender. He was originally at odds and was working against the group, but after one of the most beautifully done redemption arcs ever, he joins Team Avatar as its completing member. And not only did he become Aang's firebending teacher, but he also relearned the art of firebending that restored it to its true character, not as something that is solely destructive, but something that is life-giving, rejuvenating, and healing, as well as having that potential for destruction. That's another aspect of bringing things back into balance. Zuko slid naturally into the role of being the father figure for the group, which provided a needed break and a balance to Katara's own energy. So that's another layer of bringing the balance back in. We have Sokka of the Water Tribe. That's Katara's older brother. He is not a bender, but he is a warrior, largely self-trained, and a bit of an inventor. He stands in for the audience as being the normal person of the group, and he's the keeper of the maps, the schedules. He looks for opportunities to improve his skills, and he demonstrates that someone does not have to be born with remarkable talents in order to have something valuable to contribute. Lastly, we have Suzuki, who was not a full-time member of Team Avatar until the very end of the series, but she did come from the Earth Kingdom. She was a Kyoshi warrior, Sokka's girlfriend, and she brought a pragmatic steadiness to Sokka's more imaginative instincts. You take any member of this group away and the team is diminished. They'll be missing a vital component. And this is a really beautiful and reassuring message that everyone has something to offer. Everyone has a part to play. No one is expendable. No one has to be a carbon copy of anyone else. It is their differences that make the dynamic work, and it is their common purpose that brings them together. So I think you can see why I am so enthralled by this, this, again, admittedly children's series, but I think it has a lot to offer. I think it's a story that is very worthwhile reinvestigating and retelling, keeping it alive, and also acknowledging the way in which it resonates within the pagan faith, because we understand that same thing about the elements. Even though we don't have those godlike bending powers that people on the show do, we still understand what it is to wield those elements, how they can be applied, and how they can affect our own characters depending on which element is the most dominant within our personality. So there's lots to explore here. I hope you will be back next week as we go into more detail. I'm really enthused about this month. I actually saved doing the Avatar examination close-up for the month of August, just because there's nothing else going on in the month of August. Not exactly my most favorite month of the year, and this brings a little bit of cheerfulness and light. It restores my spirit, brings them back into balance. But that's all I've got to say. Let me know what you are thinking about all of this in the comments section, or come visit Blackbird's Brew on Gilded. There's a link to join us in the description box below. You're very welcome. I would love to talk storytelling with you, and I hope you'll visit us soon. But that'll do it for this video. We'll see you next time. Bye.